back away, retreat or withdraw from a situation. Example, when he saw the angry dog, he slowly backed away. Back down, withdraw a claim, demand, or commitment. Example, after seeing the evidence, he had no choice but to back down. Back off, stop being involved in a situation, retreat or withdraw. Example, I think it's time to back off and let them handle it. Back out, withdraw from an agreement or commitment. Example, she decided to back out of the deal at the last minute. Back up, support or reinforce. Example, can you back up your argument with any facts? Bail out, rescue from a difficult situation. Example, the government decided to bail out the struggling bank. Barge in, enter abruptly or rudely. Example, he just barged in without knocking. Bear down, exert pressure or put effort into something. Example, the team bore down and finished the project on time. Bear on, be relevant to. Example, these facts bear on the case directly. Bear out, confirm or support. Example, the evidence bears out his claim. Bear up, endure a difficult situation. Example, she bore up under the stress remarkably well. Bear with, be patient or tolerant with. Example, please bear with me while I explain the instructions. Beat down, negotiate a lower price. Example, he managed to beat the price down by 30%. Beat up, attack physically, assault. Example, the robbers beat him up and stole his wallet. Beef up, strengthen or increase. Example, they're beefing up security for the upcoming event. Beg off, decline an invitation or opportunity. Example, I had to beg off the party due to a prior commitment. Belt out, sing loudly or forcefully. Example, she belted out the national anthem with great enthusiasm. Bend over, lower the top part of the body. Example, he bent over to tie his shoe. Bet on, rely on or expect something. Example, you can bet on him to solve any problem. Bid for, attempt to obtain or achieve. Example, several companies are bidding for the construction contract. Bind up, wrap or dress a wound. Example, she carefully bound up his injured hand. Bite back, restrain or hold back a response. Example, he bit back his anger and remained calm. Bite into, cut or penetrate with the teeth. Example, she bit into the apple with gusto. Bite off, accept or take on more than one can manage. Example, he's bitten off more than he can chew with this project. Black out, lose consciousness or temporarily lose memory. Example, he blacked out during the marathon. Blank out, temporarily unable to remember or think clearly. Example, I completely blanked out during the exam. Blaze away, fire a gun repeatedly or indiscriminately. Example, the soldiers blazed away at the enemy. Blaze up, begin to burn or burst into flames. Example, the campfire blazed up after we added more wood. Bleed out, lose blood rapidly. Example, without immediate care, he could bleed out from the injury. Blend in, mix or cause to mix together. Example, he tried to blend in with the crowd. Bliss out, experience great joy or happiness. Example, she blissed out during her vacation in Hawaii. Block off, obstruct or mark off an area. Example, they blocked off the street for the parade. Block out, ignore or prevent from affecting one. Example, he blocked out the noise with headphones. Blow away, impress greatly. Example, the magician's performance blew everyone away. Blow by, pass quickly. Example, the days just blew by this summer. Blow off, ignore or avoid attending something. Example, he decided to blow off the meeting. Blow out, extinguish something by blowing. Example, she blew out the candles on her birthday cake. Blow over, diminish in intensity, pass without creating a problem. Example, they're hoping the scandal will just blow over. Blow up, explode or cause to explode, inflate. Example, the bomb blew up before they could defuse it. Blur out, say something without thinking. Example, in his nervousness, he blurted out the secret. Boil down, simplify, reduce to essential elements. Example, it all boils down to your decision in the end. Boil over, overflow while boiling. Example, watch the pot to make sure it doesn't boil over. Bolt down, eat food very quickly. Example, he bolted down his breakfast to catch the early bus. Bolt up, suddenly sit or stand up straight. Example, she bolted up in bed when she heard the noise. Bone up, study hard, usually for a short time. Example, I need to bone up on my French before the trip. Book in, register upon arrival. Example, we booked in at the hotel and went straight to our room. Book up, reserve all available places. Example, the concert was booked up within hours. Boot up, start a computer by loading its operating system. Example, give me a moment to boot up my laptop. Border on, be very close to being something. Example, his behavior borders on the absurd. Boss around, order someone to do things, often unnecessarily or annoyingly. Example, she hates being bossed around by her older sister. Bottle up, suppress or conceal feelings over time. Example, he's bottled up his anger for years. Bottom out, reach the lowest point before stabilizing or improving. Example, the economy seems to have bottomed out and is starting to recover. Bounce back, recover from a setback. Example, she bounced back quickly after her illness. Bounce off, share ideas with someone to get feedback. Example, let's bounce some ideas off each other tomorrow. Box in, place in a situation with limited flexibility. Example, the new policy has boxed us in on our options. Branch out, expand or extend one's interests. Example, the company is branching out into mobile technology. Break away, leave or escape from a group. Example, one of the sheep broke away from the flock. Break down, stop functioning, become upset. Example, my car broke down on the way to work. Break in, wear something new until it's comfortable, interrupt. Example, I need to break in my new hiking boots. Break off, end a relationship or discussion. Example, they decided to break off their engagement. Break out, begin suddenly, escape. Example, a fight broke out in the bar. Break through, overcome an obstacle or restriction. Example, the research team broke through the technical barriers. Break up, end a relationship, disperse. Example, they broke up after 3 years together. Breathe down, pressure someone by watching closely or waiting eagerly. Example, I can't work with you breathing down my neck. Breathe in, inhale. Example, breathe in deeply before you dive. Breathe out, exhale. Example, breathe out slowly through your mouth. Brighten up, become or make more cheerful. Example, the room brightened up with the new paint. Bring about, cause to happen. Example, the new law brought about significant changes. Bring along, take someone or something with you. Example, can I bring my brother along? Bring around, persuade someone to agree, revive consciousness. Example, it took time, but we brought him around to our point of view. Bring back, return something or someone to a place. Example, don't forget to bring back the books you borrowed. Bring down, cause to fall or decrease. Example, the scandal brought down the government. Bring forth, produce or introduce. Example, the witness brought forth new evidence. Bring in, introduce or involve in a process, earn. Example, they brought in a consultant to improve efficiency. Bring off, succeed in doing something difficult. Example, the team brought off a stunning victory. Bring on, cause something to happen, hire. Example, stress can bring on an asthma attack. Bring out, release or make available, highlight or emphasize. Example, the company will bring out a new model next month. Bring together, cause to unite or join. Example, the crisis brought people together in support. Bring up, mention a topic, raise a child. Example, he brought up an interesting point during the meeting. Brush off, ignore or dismiss rudely. Example, she brushed off his apologies as insincere. Brush up, improve one's knowledge or skill. Example, I need to brush up on my Spanish before the trip. Buckle down, start working seriously. Example, we need to buckle down if we're going to meet the deadline. Buckle up, fasten the seat belt. Example, always buckle up when you're in the car. Buff up, polish or improve something. Example, he's been buffing up his resume with new skills. Bug out, leave quickly, retreat. Example, when things got too intense, he decided to bug out. Build on, develop or expand based on something else. Example, the new theory builds on earlier observations. Build up, increase or develop gradually, accumulate. Example, the suspense in the movie builds up to a fantastic climax. Bulk up, increase in size, strength, or amount. Example, he's been lifting weights to bulk up for football. Bump into, meet someone unexpectedly. Example, I bumped into an old friend at the supermarket. Bump up, increase the amount or value. Example, they bumped up the price by 10%. Bundle off, send someone somewhere quickly. Example, they bundled the kids off to school. Bundle up, dress warmly. Example, bundle up before you go out, it's freezing. Burn off, eliminate by burning or exercise. Example, I'm going to the gym to burn off some calories. Burn out, become exhausted from overwork. Example, he's working too hard, I'm worried he'll burn out. Burst into, enter suddenly and forcefully. Example, she burst into tears when she heard the news. Burst out, suddenly start. Example, he burst out laughing at the joke. Bust up, end a relationship, break or cause to break. Example, the band busted up after their final tour. Butt in, interrupt rudely. Example, sorry to butt in, but I have some information that might help. Butter up, flatter someone to gain a favor. Example, he's been buttering up the boss in hopes of getting a promotion. Buy out, purchase someone's share in an enterprise. Example, the company was bought out by a larger corporation. Call back, return a phone call. Example, I missed her call, so I'll call her back later. Call forth, evoke a reaction. Example, the movie called forth strong emotions from the audience. Call in, request someone to come, report by phone. Example, we had to call in a plumber to fix the leak. Call off, cancel something. Example, the game was called off due to rain. Call out, criticize publicly. Example, the journalist called out the politician for changing his position. Call over, ask someone to come closer. Example, the teacher called the student over for a private word. Call up, summon for military service, recall. Example, he was called up to the major leagues last summer. Calm down, become less agitated or upset. Example, he took a few deep breaths to calm down. Camp out, stay overnight in a tent. Example, we decided to camp out by the lake. Cancel out, negate or neutralize. Example, the positive and negative effects cancel each other out. Care for, look after, have affection for. Example, she cares for her elderly grandmother. Carve out, establish or work hard to create something. Example, he carved out a reputation as a skilled negotiator. Cash in, convert to money, take advantage. Example, he decided to cash in his vacation days. Cast aside, discard or reject. Example, she cast aside her old shoes as she bought new ones. Cast off, release or let go, discard. Example, the ship cast off its lines and set sail. Cast out, expel or reject from a group. Example, the society cast him out for breaking its rules. Catch on, become popular or understood. Example, it took a while, but the trend finally caught on. Catch up, reach the same point or level. Example, I need to catch up on my reading. Cave in, collapse or submit under pressure. Example, the roof caved in due to the weight of the snow. Center on, focus or revolve around. Example, the discussion centered on the recent policy changes. Chalk up, achieve or score. Example, she chalked up another win in the tournament. Chance upon, find or encounter by accident. Example, we chanced upon a quaint cafe while exploring the city. Change over, switch to something different. Example, the factory changed over to a new production method. Charge up, energize or excite. Example, the crowd was charged up by the speaker's words. Chase away, drive or force to leave. Example, the farmer chased the birds away from the crops. Check in, register upon arrival. Example, we checked in at the hotel and went to our room. Check off, mark as done or completed. Example, she checked off the tasks as she completed them. Check out, investigate, borrow from a library. Example, you should check out the new book by your favorite author. Cheer on, support by cheering. Example, the fans cheered on their team to victory. Cheer up, make happier. Example, I brought you some flowers to cheer you up. Chew over, think about something deeply. Example, let's chew over the proposal before making a decision. Chicken out, withdraw from something due to fear. Example, he chickened out at the last minute and didn't go skydiving. Chip in, contribute money or effort. Example, everyone chipped in to buy the gift. Chop up, cut into pieces. Example, she chopped up the vegetables for the stew. Clamp down, impose strict restrictions. Example, the government clamped down on illegal trading. Clean out, empty completely, remove unwanted items. Example, it's time to clean out the garage. Clear away, remove or tidy. Example, let's clear away the dishes from the table. Clear out, remove items to make space, leave. Example, we need to clear out the old stock. Clear up, resolve or clarify. Example, the misunderstanding was cleared up with a simple explanation. Climb down, retract an opinion, descend. Example, he had to climb down from his original demands during negotiations. Close down, cease operations. Example, the shop closed down after 50 years in business. Close in, approach or move closer. Example, darkness closed in as we finished our hike. Close off, block or make inaccessible. Example, the street was closed off for the parade. Close out, complete or finish something. Example, let's close out this project and move on to the next. Close up, shut, bring parts together. Example, please close up the shop before you leave. Clue in, inform or enlighten. Example, can someone clue me in on what happened at the meeting? Clutter up, fill or cover with scattered items. Example, don't clutter up the room with more toys. Coax out, gently persuade to reveal or come out. Example, she managed to coax the kitten out from under the bed. Come about, happen or occur. Example, how did this situation come about? Come across, encounter or find by chance. Example, I came across an old friend in the street. Come along, accompany, make progress. Example, how is your new project coming along? Come apart, break into pieces. Example, the toy came apart when he dropped it. Come around, change one's opinion, visit casually. Example, he finally came around to our way of thinking. Come back, return. Example, when you come back, could you bring some milk? Come by, acquire or obtain. Example, good opportunities are hard to come by these days. Come down, decrease, be passed on. Example, prices have come down recently. Come down with, become sick with. Example, she came down with the flu last week. Come forward, offer help or information. Example, witnesses are asked to come forward. Come in, enter, participate. Example, please come in and take a seat. Come into, inherit. Example, he came into a large sum of money. Come off, take place successfully, become detached. Example, the concert came off despite the bad weather. Come out, be published or released, become known. Example, his new book comes out next month. Come over, visit casually. Example, why don't you come over after work? Come through, succeed, survive. Example, she came through the surgery well. Come to, regain consciousness. Example, he came to a few minutes after fainting. Come together, unite or join forces. Example, the community came together to help the flood victims. Come under, be subjected to. Example, the area came under heavy fire during the attack. Come up, arise or appear. Example, a new problem has come up at work. Come up against, encounter a difficulty. Example, we've come up against some legal issues. Come up with, suggest or think of an idea or plan. Example, she came up with a great idea for the party. Comment on, express an opinion about. Example, could you comment on the recent changes? Commit to, pledge or bind oneself to a course of action. Example, he committed to running a marathon next year. Compare to, highlight similarities. Example, you can't compare to the great artists of the past. Compare with, highlight differences. Example, how does this version compare with the original? Compensate for, make up for something lacking or an error. Example, they gave me a discount to compensate for the inconvenience. Compete with, try to be more successful than. Example, it's hard to compete with big companies. Complain about, express dissatisfaction. Example, he always complains about the weather. Complete with, have all necessary parts, compete involving. Example, the set comes complete with batteries. Comply with, act according to a rule, order, or request. Example, you must comply with the safety regulations. Concern with, involve or interest oneself in. Example, she concerns herself with environmental issues. Conclude with, finish with a particular action or event. Example, the ceremony concluded with the national anthem. Concur with, agree with an opinion or decision. Example, I concur with your assessment of the situation. Confide in, trust someone with personal information. Example, she confided in her friend about her plans. Conform to, match or comply with. Example, the product conforms to the quality standards. Conflict with, be in opposition or disagreement. Example, his views conflict with mine. Conform to, follow rules or standards. Example, the building does not conform to safety regulations. Connect with, establish a relationship. Example, he has a hard time connecting with other people. Consist of, be composed or made up of. Example, the committee consists of 5 members. Consult with, seek advice or information from. Example, you should consult with a lawyer before signing the contract. Contend with, deal with a difficult situation. Example, we have to contend with numerous challenges. Continue with, proceed with. Example, let's continue with the meeting after the break. Contrast with, show differences when compared. Example, her optimistic outlook contrasts with his pessimism. Contribute to, give in order to help achieve or provide something. Example, many people contributed to the charity. Convince of, persuade someone of the truth or merit of. Example, it took a while, but she convinced me of her plan's feasibility. Cope with, manage to deal with a difficult situation. Example, it's hard to cope with the loss of a loved one. Count on, depend on someone or something for support. Example, you can count on me whenever you need help. Count out, exclude from consideration. Example, don't count out the possibility of rain tomorrow. Cover up, conceal something, often a wrongdoing. Example, the scandal was covered up by the officials. Crack down on, take severe measures against. Example, the government is cracking down on tax evasion. Crash out, fail spectacularly, fall asleep suddenly. Example, he crashed out in the first round of the competition. Dash off, leave quickly. Example, he dashed off as soon as the meeting ended. Deal in, trade in a specific commodity. Example, they deal in rare books. Deal with, handle or address a situation. Example, we need to deal with this issue immediately. Decide on, choose something. Example, have you decided on a venue for the wedding? Deck out, decorate or adorn. Example, the hall was decked out for the holiday party. Declare for, publicly support a side or position. Example, the politician declared for the reform policies. Dedicate to, devote to a particular task or purpose. Example, she dedicates her free time to volunteering. Default on, fail to fulfill an obligation, especially to repay a loan. Example, the company defaulted on its loan repayments. Defend against, protect from harm or danger. Example, the vaccine defends against the virus. Define by, characterize or identify by specific features. Example, an error defined by technological innovation. Delay in, postpone or hold back in terms of progress or timing. Example, there was a delay in the project's completion. Delight in, take great pleasure in. Example, he delights in playing the piano. Deliver on, fulfill a promise or commitment. Example, the team delivered on their promise to win the championship. Demand from, require something from someone. Example, the job demands a lot from us. Depart from, leave or deviate from a standard or norm. Example, the artist's work departs from traditional styles. Depend on, rely on, be controlled or determined by. Example, success depends on hard work. Descend on, visit suddenly or unexpectedly. Example, relatives descended on us for the weekend. Describe as, represent or portray in a particular way. Example, the place was described as a paradise. Design for, create or intend for a specific purpose. Example, this program is designed for beginners. Desire for, express a wish for. Example, there's a strong desire for change among the people. Detach from, separate or disengage. Example, it's hard to detach from work during vacation. Deter from, discourage or prevent from taking action. Example, high prices deter people from buying luxury items. Develop into, grow or evolve into. Example, the caterpillar will develop into a butterfly. Deviate from, depart or stray from a path or plan. Example, you must not deviate from the guidelines. Devote to, dedicate time, effort, or oneself to a particular activity or cause. Example, he devoted his life to science. Die down, decrease in intensity. Example, the wind started to die down by evening. Die off, become extinct or die one after another until none remains. Example, the dinosaurs died off millions of years ago. Die out, cease to exist, become extinct. Example, many languages die out every year. Dig into, investigate deeply, start eating. Example, she dug into her research with great enthusiasm. Dig up, uncover or find by searching. Example, archaeologists dug up ancient artifacts. Dine out, eat at a restaurant. Example, we rarely dine out due to our busy schedules. Dip into, briefly use or take from something, especially funds. Example, he dipped into his savings to buy the car. Direct at, aim something at a target. Example, the criticism was directly aimed at the policy makers. Disagree with, have a different opinion. Example, I disagree with you on that point. Disappear into, go into a place or situation and not be seen again. Example, he disappeared into the crowd. Discourage from, dissuade or deter someone from doing something. Example, they discouraged her from quitting her job. Discover in, find something within something else. Example, she discovered joy in helping others. Discriminate against, treat someone unfairly because of race, gender, etc. Example, laws exist to prevent discrimination against minorities. Discuss with, talk about something with someone. Example, have you discussed the issue with your manager? Disguise as, change one's appearance to look like something or someone else. Example, the spy was disguised as a journalist. Dismount from, get off a bicycle, horse, etc. Example, she dismounted from her bike gracefully. Dispel from, drive away, eliminate. Example, the sunshine dispelled the morning fog. Display in, show or exhibit in a particular place. Example, the museum displays artifacts in glass cases. Dispose of, get rid of something, throw away. Example, please dispose of your trash properly. Distance from, create or maintain a physical or emotional gap. Example, he distanced himself from the controversy. Distinguish between, recognize the difference between two things. Example, it's important to distinguish between facts and opinions. Distract from, divert attention away from something. Example, the noise distracted me from my work. Dive into, start doing something with enthusiasm. Example, she dived into her new project with energy. Divide among, distribute between two or more people. Example, the inheritance was divided among the siblings. Divide into, separate into parts or groups. Example, the book is divided into 3 sections. Dwell on, spend a lot of time thinking or talking about. Example, don't dwell on your mistakes. Deal out, distribute cards in a game, metaphorically, to distribute something. Example, the teacher dealt out the assignments for the week. Drop by, visit informally or unexpectedly. Example, feel free to drop by anytime. Drop in, make a casual or unexpected visit. Example, he dropped in to see how we were doing. Drop off, decrease, deliver someone or something and leave. Example, attendance at the meetings has dropped off. Drop out, withdraw from participation. Example, he dropped out of the race due to injury. Dry off, remove moisture, become dry. Example, I need to dry off after that rainstorm. Dry up, lose all moisture, stop being available. Example, the well dried up during the drought. Double back, return the way one came. Example, we had to double back after we missed our turn. Double up, share something designed for one, usually accommodation. Example, they doubled up in a room to save money. Downplay, make something seem less important. Example, the company downplayed the incident to avoid bad publicity. Draw back, retreat or withdraw. Example, the cat drew back when it saw the dog. Draw in, attract or involve. Example, the festival draws in thousands of visitors each year. Draw out, extend, make something last longer. Example, he drew out the meeting with unnecessary questions. Draw up, prepare or write something that needs careful thought or planning. Example, they drew up a contract. Dream of, imagine or hope for. Example, I never dreamed of such success. Dress up, wear formal or elaborate clothes. Example, we're dressing up for the gala tonight. Drift apart, gradually become less close. Example, over the years, we just drifted apart. Drill into, teach someone something by repetition. Example, my parents drilled good manners into me. Drink to, make a toast. Example, let's drink to your new job. Drive at, imply or suggest something. Example, what are you driving at with those questions? Drive away, force someone or something to leave. Example, the noise drove the birds away. Drive back, repel or force back. Example, the defenders drove back the attackers. Drive down, cause to decrease. Example, increased supply has driven down the prices. Drive off, leave a place by vehicle, force an attacker to go away. Example, she drove off in a hurry. Drive out, forced to leave. Example, the new policy drove out many experienced employees. Drive up, cause an increase. Example, speculation has driven up the cost of housing. Drop against, compare unfavorably with. Example, our results drop against last year's performance. Drum up, try to increase business activity or get support. Example, we need to drum up more interest. Duck out, leave quickly or secretly. Example, he ducked out of the room when his phone rang. Dwell upon, think, speak, or write at length about a particular subject, especially one that is a source of unhappiness or anxiety. Example, she tends to dwell upon her health. Dial down, reduce the intensity or amount of something. Example, we need to dial down the tension in these discussions. Dish out, distribute, especially in a careless or aggressive manner. Example, he's good at dishing out advice but not taking it. Dive in, start something enthusiastically or without hesitation. Example, let's dive in and get this project started. Do over, repeat or redo something. Example, I wish I could do over my high school years. Do up, fasten or tie up, renovate or decorate. Example, do up your shoelaces before you trip. Dodge around, avoid dealing with something by being evasive. Example, he's always dodging around the issue. Double up as, serve an additional function or role. Example, the dining room doubles up as a study. Draw down, reduce or deplete. Example, they're drawing down reserves to fund the project. Dream up, invent or imagine something, especially an elaborate plan or idea. Example, she dreamed up an elaborate getaway plan. Dress down, reprimand or criticize someone, wear casual clothes. Example, the manager dressed him down in front of everyone. Drive through, pass through something by driving, use a service without leaving one's car. Example, let's drive through the park on our way home. Dwell in, live in a particular place. Example, she dwells in a quaint cottage by the sea. Die from, to suffer death caused by something. Example, many died from the disease during the epidemic. Dabble in, to take part in an activity in a casual or superficial way. Example, he's been dabbling in painting lately. Dance around, avoid dealing with something directly. Example, he danced around the subject during the interview. Deal with, manage, handle, or cope with something. Example, I'll deal with the paperwork tomorrow. Decay into, deteriorate or break down into a worse condition. Example, the abandoned house decayed into ruins. Decide against, choose not to do something after considering it. Example, after much thought, she decided against moving abroad. Deduct from, subtract an amount from a total. Example, the cost of repairs will be deducted from your deposit. Ease into, gradually begin or adjust to something. Example, he eased into retirement by working part-time. Ease off, reduce in intensity or amount. Example, the rain should ease off by the afternoon. Ease out, gradually remove or expel someone from a position. Example, the company eased him out after the merger. Ease up, lessen in intensity or pressure. Example, you should ease up on the workouts if you're feeling pain. Edge out, to narrowly defeat someone or surpass them. Example, she edged out the competition to win the contract. Edge towards, move slowly towards a particular state or condition. Example, the company is edging towards profitability. Egg on, encourage someone to do something, often something unwise. Example, his friends egged him on to jump. Elaborate on, add more detail or information. Example, could you elaborate on your proposal? Eke out, make a supply last by using it sparingly. Example, they eked out their supplies through the winter. Embark on, start or begin a journey or endeavor. Example, they embarked on a round-the-world trip. Embroil in, involve someone deeply in an argument, conflict, or difficult situation. Example, he got embroiled in a dispute with his neighbors. Emerge from, come out of a difficult situation. Example, the company emerged from bankruptcy stronger. Empathize with, understand and share the feelings of another. Example, it's easy to empathize with the characters in her books. Emphasize to, stress or single out as important to someone. Example, he emphasized to his team the importance of being on time. Employ in, use for a particular purpose. Example, they employed clever tactics in the negotiations. Empty into, flow or pour out into. Example, the river empties into the sea. Enact into, make into law. Example, the bill was finally enacted into law. Encroach on, intrude on a person's territory or rights. Example, urban development is encroaching on the natural habitat. And in, result or conclude in a particular way. Example, the discussion ended in agreement. End up, eventually reach a particular place or condition. Example, they ended up living in New York. Endear to, make someone liked or loved by someone. Example, his honesty endeared him to his colleagues. Enforce on, impose a rule or law on someone. Example, the new regulations were enforced on all employees. Engage in, participate or become involved in. Example, she engages in volunteer work on the weekends. Engulf in, completely enclose or cover. Example, the forest was engulfed in flames. Enhance by, improve or augment something by adding something else. Example, the flavor is enhanced by adding herbs. Inquire about, ask for information from someone about something. Example, I called to inquire about the job posting. Enroll in, officially register or sign up for. Example, he enrolled in the cooking class. Enter into, begin or start a process or agreement. Example, they entered into negotiations. Entertain with, provide entertainment or enjoyment with something. Example, they entertained us with stories from their travels. Enthrall with, capture the fascinated attention of. Example, she enthralled the audience with her performance. Entrust with, assign the responsibility for doing something to someone. Example, he was entrusted with the company's financial records. Equal out, become equal or even. Example, over time, the fluctuations in sales tend to equal out. Equip with, provide with the necessary items for a particular purpose. Example, the soldiers were equipped with new gear. Erase from, remove completely from something, such as memory or record. Example, the event was erased from his memory. Escape from, get away from a place or situation of danger or confinement. Example, he managed to escape from the prison. Espouse to, adopt or support a cause, belief, or way of life. Example, she espoused to the principles of nonviolent protest. Establish in, set up on a firm or permanent basis. Example, they established themselves in the new community. Estimate at, give an approximate calculation or judgment of. Example, the crowd was estimated at over 10,000. Evacuate from, remove someone from a place of danger to a safer place. Example, residents were evacuated from the area due to the flood. Evade from, escape or avoid by cleverness or deceit. Example, he managed to evade from answering the question. Evaluate for, judge or determine the significance, worth, or quality of something for a particular purpose. Example, the program was evaluated for its effectiveness. Evoke in, bring or recall a feeling, memory, or image to the conscious mind in someone. Example, the music evoked memories of her childhood. Exceed in, be greater in number or size than. Example, she exceeded in her expectations for the project. Excel in, be exceptionally good at or proficient in an activity or subject. Example, he excels in mathematics. Exchange for, give something and receive something else in return. Example, I exchanged my old car for a new one. Excite about, cause someone to feel very enthusiastic or eager. Example, she's excited about her trip to Europe. Exclude from, prevent someone from entering or participating in. Example, they were excluded from the club due to their behavior. Excuse from, release someone from a duty or requirement. Example, he was excused from jury duty. Execute on, carry out or perform a plan or action. Example, the team executed on their strategy flawlessly. Exempt from, free someone or something from an obligation or liability imposed on others. Example, small businesses are exempt from the tax. Exercise on, use or apply a faculty, right, or process. Example, she exercised her right to vote. Exert on, apply or bring to bear a force, influence, or quality. Example, the moon exerts a force on the Earth's tides. Exhaust from, use up the whole supply of, drain from energy. Example, the long journey exhausted their supplies. Exhibit in, publicly display something in a particular place. Example, his work is exhibited in galleries around the world. Exist in, have actual being within a specified place or under certain conditions. Example, these conditions exist in many parts of the world. Expand on, give more details about something. Example, can you expand on your earlier point? Expect from, regard something as likely to happen from a particular person or thing. Example, what do you expect from this meeting? Expedite for, speed up the progress of, hasten for a particular reason or purpose. Example, measures were taken to expedite the process for the refugees. Expel from, force someone to leave a place or organization. Example, he was expelled from school for misconduct. Experiment with, try out new ideas or methods. Example, she enjoys experimenting with new recipes. Explain to, make something clear to someone by describing it in more detail or revealing relevant facts. Example, he explained the rules to the new players. Explode with, burst out suddenly with noise, laughter, or violent action. Example, the room exploded with laughter at the joke. Exploit for, make full use of and derive benefit from a resource for a particular purpose. Example, they exploit the technology for data analysis. Explore for, travel in or through an unfamiliar area in order to learn about it for a specific purpose. Example, they explored the forest for new species. Export to, send goods or services to another country for sale. Example, wine is exported to countries around the world. Expose to, make something visible by uncovering it, make someone vulnerable to something. Example, the scandal exposed him to criticism. Express to, convey a thought or feeling to someone in words. Example, she expressed her gratitude to the host. Extend to, offer something to someone. Example, the invitation was extended to all employees. Extract from, remove or take out, especially by effort or force. Example, the information was extracted from the documents. Eye for, look or stare at someone or something with interest or desire. Example, he has an eye for antique furniture. Ease past, move past someone or something gently or smoothly. Example, he eased past the guard without being noticed. Edge away, gradually move away from someone or something. Example, she edged away from the crowd. Embellish with, make something more attractive by adding decorative details. Example, the story was embellished with interesting anecdotes. Enrich with, improve or enhance the quality or value of something with something else. Example, the soil was enriched with organic matter. Equip for, prepare someone mentally or physically for a particular situation or task. Example, they were well equipped for the challenges ahead. Eradicate from, destroy or remove something completely from somewhere. Example, the disease has been eradicated from many countries. Escalate into, increase rapidly and become more intense or serious. Example, the argument escalated into a full-blown fight. Establish as, show or prove something to be firmly based or settled as. Example, she established herself as a leading expert. Evolve from, develop gradually from something else. Example, birds are believed to have evolved from dinosaurs. Examine for, inspect or look at closely for a specific reason. Example, the doctor examined him for signs of infection. Excuse for, give a reason or explanation for something that justifies it. Example, there's no excuse for such behavior. Exhibit of, display or show a quality or feeling of. Example, she exhibited a great deal of patience. Expand into, grow and start to include more areas, activities, or things. Example, the company is planning to expand into Europe. Expedite by, make a process faster by a particular method or action. Example, delivery can be expedited by using express shipping. Expose for, reveal the true, objectionable nature of someone or something. Example, the investigation exposed the fraud for what it was. Extend over, stretch or spread over an area or period of time. Example, the desert extends over several thousand square miles. I as, consider or view someone or something as. Example, he is eyed as a potential leader. Ease through, handle or deal with something smoothly and without difficulty. Example, she eased through the exam. Edge closer, gradually move nearer to someone or something. Example, as the deadline edges closer, the team is working harder. Embark upon, begin a course of action, especially one that is important or demanding. Example, we are about to embark upon a new research project. Embody in, give a tangible or visible form to an idea, quality, or feeling. Example, the new policy embodies fairness in employment. Embrace for, prepare or steel oneself for something difficult or challenging. Example, we must embrace for tough times ahead. Emit from, release or discharge something, especially gas or radiation, from a source. Example, smoke was emitting from the chimney. Enlist in, join a cause, organization, or group, often by signing up. Example, he enlisted in the army. Enshrine in, preserve or cherish something as sacred. Example, the right to free speech is enshrined in the Constitution. Entangle in, involve someone in difficulties or complicated circumstances from which it is difficult to escape. Example, he got entangled in legal problems. Entangle in, involve someone in difficulties or complicated circumstances from which it is difficult to escape. Example, he got entangled in legal problems. Enter upon, start or begin something, especially something new or significant. Example, she entered upon a new phase in her life. Enthrone as, make someone a king, queen, or bishop in a formal ceremony. Example, he was enthroned as the new king. Entice into, attract or tempt by offering pleasure or advantage. Example, advertisements entice people into buying things they don't need. Envelop in, completely cover, surround, or encase. Example, the fog enveloped the city. Face up to, accept and deal with something difficult. Example, he finally faced up to his financial problems. Factor in, include something as a factor when making a plan. Example, you must factor in the cost of materials when pricing the product. Fade away, gradually disappear. Example, over time, her memories of the event began to fade away. Fall apart, break into pieces, fail. Example, the agreement fell apart due to lack of support. Fall back on, use as a backup or last resort. Example, if the plan fails, we can fall back on our savings. Fall behind, fail to keep up with. Example, he's falling behind in his studies. Fall for, be deceived by, develop a romantic interest in. Example, she fell for the scam and lost her money. fall into, become accidentally involved in. Example, he fell into acting through a series of chance auditions. Fall off, decrease in quantity or quality. Example, sales fell off in the fourth quarter. Fall out, quarrel, stop being friends. Example, they fell out over a silly misunderstanding. Fall through, fail to happen or be completed. Example, the deal fell through at the last minute. Fan out, spread out in a fan shape. Example, the search party fanned out to cover more ground. Far out, be very unusual or surprising. Example, his ideas are really far out, but they just might work. Farm out, subcontract work to someone else. Example, the company farms out some of its manufacturing to smaller suppliers. Fasten onto, attach or fix firmly onto something. Example, she fastened onto the idea as the solution to all their problems. Fatten up, make or become fatter. Example, they're fattening up the cattle before the market. Favor with, provide someone with a gift or advantage. Example, he was favored with a keen intellect. Fawn over, exaggerate flattery or affection towards. Example, she always fawns over her grandchildren. Phase by, disturb or disconcert someone. Example, she wasn't fazed by the complex problem. Feed off, gain strength or energy from something. Example, the artist feeds off the energy of the crowd. Feel for, have sympathy or empathy for someone. Example, I really feel for anyone who has lost their job. Feel up to, feel capable or well enough to do. Example, I don't feel up to going out tonight. Fend for, take care of and provide for oneself without any help from others. Example, after their parents passed away, the eldest sibling had to fend for the younger ones. Fend off, defend oneself against an attack or attacker. Example, she managed to fend off the unwanted advances. Ferret out, search and discover through persistent investigation. Example, the detective ferreted out the truth behind the disappearance. Fiddle with, make small adjustments to something. Example, he's always fiddling with his watch. Fight off, defend oneself against an attack or illness. Example, she fought off the flu with plenty of rest and fluids. Figure out, understand or solve something. Example, it took me a while to figure out the solution. File away, place documents in a specified place for future reference. Example, she filed away the reports in the cabinet. Fill in, complete by adding detail, inform. Example, please fill in the form with your details. Fill out, complete a form by writing information in the blanks. Example, fill out this application carefully. Filter out, remove by passing through a filter, exclude. Example, the system filters out impurities from the water. Find out, discover information. Example, we need to find out what happened. Finish off, complete the last part of something. Example, let's finish off this project and move on. Finish up, to complete an activity or task. Example, I just need to finish up some work, then I'll be with you. Firm up, make something more secure or solid. Example, we need to firm up the plans before we announce them. Fish for, attempt to obtain something indirectly or by hinting. Example, he's always fishing for compliments. Fit in, be socially compatible with other members of a group. Example, she struggles to fit in at school. Fit into, be the right size and shape to go into something. Example, this puzzle piece doesn't fit into the space. Fit out, equip or supply what is needed. Example, the expedition was fitted out with all necessary supplies. Fix on, decide on or choose after consideration. Example, they've fixed on a date for the wedding. Fix up, repair or renovate. Example, he's planning to fix up the old car. Fizzle out, gradually end, typically in a disappointing or weak way. Example, the enthusiasm for the project fizzled out. Flare up, burst into anger or violence, worsen suddenly. Example, his temper flared up at the slightest provocation. Flashback, experience a sudden, clear memory of a past event. Example, she flashed back to her childhood when she visited her old school. Flaunt about, show off something to get attention. Example, he loves to flaunt about his new designer clothes. Flee from, run away from a place or situation of danger. Example, they had to flee from their home due to the flood. Flick through, look quickly through a book. Example, she flicked through the magazine while waiting. Flip over, turn something over to see the other side. Example, flip over the page to continue reading. Float around, be present in a casual or random way, circulate. Example, rumors are floating around the office. Flock to, gather or move in a crowd to a particular place. Example, tourists flock to the city during the festival. Flounder around, struggle mentally, show or feel confusion. Example, he's been floundering around with his thesis topic. Flourish in, grow or develop in a healthy or vigorous way. Example, these plants flourish in the shade. Flout at, openly disregard a rule, law, or convention. Example, they flout at the dress code regularly. flow from, emanate or result from. Example, good results flow from hard work. Flower into, develop into a fuller, more mature form. Example, the writer has flowered into one of the most respected in her field. Fluctuate between, vary irregularly between one state or level and another. Example, his mood fluctuates between optimism and despair. Flush out, cause to leave a hiding place. Example, the police flushed out the criminals from their hideout. Focus on, pay particular attention to. Example, the report focuses on the need for economic reform. Foil by, prevent someone from succeeding in doing something. Example, the plot was foiled by the police. Follow through, complete an action or process. Example, it's important to follow through with your commitments. Follow up, take further actions after an event or lead. Example, we'll need to follow up this meeting with a detailed plan. Fool around, spend time idly or without purpose. Example, stop fooling around and get to work. Foot the bill, pay all the costs for something. Example, my parents kindly footed the bill for our wedding. Forage for, search widely for food or provisions. Example, the bears forage for berries in the forest. Force out, make someone leave a place or position. Example, he was forced out of his job. Fork out, pay an amount of money, especially reluctantly. Example, I had to fork out a lot for the car repairs. Form up, arrange in a formation or line. Example, the troops formed up in front of the barracks. Fortify against, strengthen so as to protect against something. Example, the city walls were fortified against attack. Foster on, encourage the development of something. Example, they hope to foster a love of reading on their children. Frame up, falsely incriminate someone. Example, he was framed up for a crime he didn't commit. Freak out, react strongly and emotionally, panic or become agitated. Example, she freaked out when she saw the spider. Free up, make available by reallocating or reallocating resources. Example, freeing up some time will allow us to focus on our priorities. Fret over, worry unnecessarily or excessively about something. Example, don't fret over the details. Frown upon, disapprove of something. Example, smoking is frowned upon in many public places. Fry up, cook by frying, especially a mixture of foods. Example, we had a fry up for breakfast. Fulfill in, achieve or realize something desired, promised, or predicted. Example, she fulfilled her dream of becoming a doctor. Fumble for, feel or grope around for something clumsily. Example, he fumbled for his keys in the dark. Furl up, roll or fold up neatly or securely. Example, sailors furl up the sails when the wind gets too strong. Furnish with, provide or supply with something necessary or desirable. Example, the apartment was furnished with all modern conveniences. Fuse into, join or blend to form a single entity. Example, different cultures fuse into a unique blend in the city. Fuss over, pay excessive attention or worry unnecessarily about something. Example, grandparents love to fuss over their grandchildren. Fathom out, understand after much thought. Example, it took me ages to fathom out the solution. Feather into, blend or merge smoothly. Example, the new extension feathers into the original building perfectly. Feed into, contribute to, lead into. Example, the preliminary data feeds into the final report. Feel out, try to find out someone's opinions, ideas, feelings, etc., by talking to them. Example, he's feeling out the committee's stance on the issue. Fend against, defend oneself from a threat or attack. Example, the shield can fend against arrows and spears. Ferment in, undergo fermentation. Example, the wine ferments in large barrels. Fiddle around, waste time doing unimportant things. Example, stop fiddling around and help me with this. Figure on, expect or plan for something. Example, we hadn't figured on so many guests arriving. File against, make a formal accusation or charge. Example, they filed a lawsuit against the company. Fill up, make something full, become full. Example, the gas tank is almost empty, we need to fill up. Find against, decide in a court of law that someone is guilty. Example, the jury found against the defendant. Fire up, excite or energize someone. Example, the coach's speech fired up the team. Fit up, frame someone by making it look like they were responsible for a crime. Example, he claims the police fit him up. Flick off, turn off quickly. Example, flick off the lights when you leave. Flip out, lose control emotionally, react very strongly. Example, she flipped out when she saw the damage to her car. Flit about, move swiftly and lightly from one place to another. Example, the hummingbird flitted about the garden. Flog off, sell something, especially at a cheap price. Example, he's trying to flog off his old TV. Floor with, overwhelm or astonish someone. Example, the complexity of the problem floored with the experts. Get across, successfully communicate an idea. Example, it's important that we get the message across to everyone.